For some reason, I can't count past 44.
Happy President's Day.
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish.
Greetings and salutations, my fellow Americans. Welcome back to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream today at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. My name is Tom, and I am your host, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And about time he was back.
Good to be back with you guys. It's Chris.
And welcome you all to
The Dish. I still got it.
Yeah, oh, apparently you picked up an accent too. So we are
I'm like
back.
super smart now.
Studio's full. The gang is all back together. We're super excited. Chris is back in studio.
Are we,
Missed you.
though?
Oh. That's how I feel when you go away for a little bit.
I know, right? See, he was giving me some shit today over at lunch. Like,
Oh my God.
I'm like, she
About
was-
what?
She was nasty. She was calling me fat.
No, what did I say?
It's true. I mean, I am. So she's not lying.
But that's not
Just
nice.
do.
I did talk about you
You-
this past week.
You did?
Yeah. When
Oh.
we were all, when the three of us were at Dive, and I think it was just the three of us, and Tom just, we've definitely said the story, but I still find it hilarious. Tom, for some reason, really wanted to try our coconut shrimp. And then he disappears for a little bit, comes back like 10 minutes later. We're like, where the fuck did you go? He's like, oh, I just had to go home and pop myself in my EpiPen.
I went to my car.
Yeah, he had it in the car.
Oh, I thought you got in your car and drove. Oh,
I'm
well,
in the
my story
freaking-
was better.
I'm in the parking lot with my pants, like literally, like I was like, should I pull my pants down? And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just like,
I'll never
You know,
forget
you're
that.
supposed to go to the hospital after injecting yourself in an EpiPen.
But
I was-
instead, we did a show and we kept drinking.
Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
you know.
much.
so, but it helped. You know,
I was, you didn't die.
I was being preemptive, so don't sue me. But anyway, so yeah, yeah, we're back, and we have so many stories that we've got on all these notes, and a lot of really hot topics that we're going to be talking about today on the show. We do have a guest in studio with us today too, so if you're watching on video, you'll see him in the background over here behind Chris and I, and so welcome back. And of course, we'll jump into some weekend. So I'm going to toss it over to Chris because you haven't been here in a couple of weeks. So we want to know what's going on. How are you?
I'm good. Things have been busy. The semester really got started. Classes are going well so far. I have my first exam on Wednesday, which I'm actually excited for. I really love my class.
So what class are you taking?
This is for natural disasters.
Natural disasters.
What?
It's by far one of my favorite classes so far. It's studying natural disasters. It's my non-lab science class. So like right now we're
Are
working.
you studying coronavirus?
No, because that's not a natural disaster.
I mean, like,
It
eventually.
could be. I mean, I'm sitting right here. Stop talking about me.
Well, right now we're on like plate tectonics.
Wait, hold on, time out. Are they studying you?
Yeah.
Come on, that was a good one.
Yeah, but I heard
Yes, it
that
was.
like last year when I was looking for this class, when I was like, oh, cool, I want to take natural disasters. And then, of course, 4 to 5 people were like, oh, like you? You know, yeah.
Well, at least I'm not alone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the more the merrier, sure. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm going to actually start TAing soon. I'm going to be a teacher's aide soon for my principles in education course.
Just
And
change the lighting. Sorry.
yes, you did. And I'm actually going to hopefully start substituting this year or this semester.
God save those children.
I'm going to be a great teacher.
I'm sure.
But other than that, it's been really.
It's my job to say that.
I know. Doing homework, just hanging out between here and up in Mass, and things are good.
Oh my God, what would you do? Okay, so what would you do if you're in class and one
Mhm.
of your students comes up and says, oh my God, I heard you on GayTalk.
Oh.
Oh my God, I found you on Grindr.
Oh my God, students, listen to episode 5. Sorry.
It's deleted.
Actually, it's not.
Oh. We were actually talking about that earlier.
Mm.
Well, but, you know, at least I wasn't the one getting a bloody ass rimming. So, yeah.
Oh.
Anyway,
it's a-
so yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
We got to stop bringing
We were
up that
watching,
show.
what was it? True Blood was on at that time. You know, it was the hot thing to like, you know, obsess over vampires and which one was cuter. Was it what was that?
I think you're the only one who's watched that.
True Blood?
No,
Mm,
I
no?
watched it. I watched a couple episodes.
Well, of course you did.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing. And, you know, so you were either Team Eric or you were Team, who was the other vampire? Yeah, it was either Eric. The one that was, it was Sookie. All I know is Sookie, Eric, and
Snooki.
Sookie.
Oh. I was like, wasn't
it-
she in New Jersey?
Sookie, Eric, and oh my God, oh, it'll come to me eventually. But anyway, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. It was really good up until like season 4 or 5, and then it just started getting really weird because it's like, all right, fine, I could deal with vampires. I can
Bill?
deal with Bill. Thank you,
That is
William
such an-
Compton.
That's such
Yes.
an unattractive like name.
So,
Bill, I
well,
love you so.
Like Bill the
always
vampire.
will.
That's
That
right.
sounds like Bob the drag queen.
Well, his real name was William Compton. Oh God.
You're
Wow.
right. You're right.
Right?
Bill the vampire. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're right. But no, it was really cool. It was just one of those shows that, you know, it's like I could deal with vampires and I can deal with werewolves, but then they started like, you know, throwing in all these other crazy things, and I was just like, all right, now it's getting super crazy. Shapeshifters and then, you know, poor guy that owned the freaking restaurant started turning into a dog. But he'd been doing that all along for a long time, I think.
Ooh, I did watch The Exorcist for the first time last night. The
Ah,
original.
the original?
Pass on
Yeah,
that.
it was good. I mean,
Mhm.
we didn't finish it. I fell asleep, but I remember her like getting off to the crucifix.
Like, first of all, her head spinning, that whole scene,
Mhm.
for that time, the fucking like
People were going
effects
nuts
were
from
like
it. Absolutely,
amazing.
absolutely.
But then you watch a movie now and you're like,
Well, same with I was telling our guest. Excuse me, Night of the Living Dead, George Romero's 1968 cult classic, was the same exact way. People were literally losing their minds, vomiting, watching people eat other people. So, you know, at that time, it was terrifying watching these films.
yeah. But then nowadays, it's like, you know,
Because
we
we've
have
seen
The
so
Walking
much.
Dead.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And so,
But it's gotten to the point where I sat and like watched The Walking Dead while eating dinner. You know, like we've come so desensitized.
yeah, pretty much. So, cool. Well, anyway, glad that you're back.
I'm very happy to be here.
For today, it's President's Day, of course, you know, for all the 44 presidents that we've had. Although we know we have had 45,
I
but
feel
we'll
like, yeah,
skip
the
one.
number seems off, but it
I
seems
know.
right.
It seems right. And
So bad.
and so you probably won't be back for a little bit, but you know, because we were off from school and from work, we
I
were
kinda
able
felt
to.
like it was bad actually taking the day off, but I wanted it, so I did it. But I'm like, I probably should have just gone to work.
Well, she was gonna go and paint her office anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to be
Like
doing.
she was gonna go play Picasso.
It needs to happen.
Oh, I know, but you know, you'll get there.
You work hard. You deserve the
Yeah,
day
do it on
off.
their time, not yours.
Thank
That's all.
you.
So let's bounce it over to Trish. Trish, how are you?
I'm good.
And how was your weekend?
It was good. I had to go to a gala on Saturday. I have another gala tomorrow. I just like it's like meh.
Gala. That's
It's
all you
cra-
do.
Yeah, it's this time of year. Like it's nuts. But it's funny because I was there and I was like, I never thought I would actually be attending events where all of these people are like super wealthy or like high up in a company, and like then there's just me there. Like I never thought that I would be going to events like this. So it's
But don't discount yourself. You're very vital and critical in the role that you play for your
Totally,
job,
totally.
and even you know in
it's
your
just
ability
something
to
I never expected.
yeah, but even in your ability to work a room and work with people and talk to people and sort of kind of you know just sell yourself.
Mhm.
You're really good at that,
Yeah, well,
including the corner. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
so
Used to be like, I'm Nick. Give me your money.
that's right.
yeah. I mean,
At
like,
the corner, his like you know $5, suck a dick.
Mm-hmm.
we got to do what we have to do.
$5
to make the
is
money.
$5.
Right,
Mhm,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there was this one time where I had to meet with this one person who was definitely not into the whole like I'm gonna give you a blowjob for $10,000 thing, and I looked at my coworkers, 2 women, and I was like, all right, who's bucking up? Somebody's got to buck up.
Not for nothing. That it wasn't there like this guy that was trying to sell like promotions for a concert or something. It was like Evian water, and he was like literally they said, "I don't care what you do. I don't care if you have to blow that guy. You're gonna go and get that money." And he was like literally willing to do it.
Okay, I'm not.
Like
really
he was
willing
gonna
to do it.
sign up to like go blow someone just to get freaking like endorsement money from Evian, and apparently now he's a spokesperson for Evian.
So I'm gonna pump them brakes and
Uh-huh.
say, if you have to actually blow somebody for a sponsorship, you're
Mm.
doing it wrong.
Oh well, you know. So. Tomatoes.
I mean, like, to each their own. It's fine.
Well, that's cool. So what else so what else did you do this weekend?
I worked last night. It was fine. It was sort of busy. It was good money. We went to lunch this afternoon, which
That's
was
right.
wonderful.
Mm.
Even though you
Yeah.
wanted to kill people, which is
Yeah, it was
normal.
just
Yeah.
for whatever. So listen, typically when we go to this local dive, right by my house, they provide us excellent service all the time. It's never failed, and the food is always good. And while the food was good today, the service was a little off. Right?
Mhm.
It was just like it took them forever to get the food. We got our food before we even got our utensils to eat the food. So I'm sitting there like shoving my fingers in my salad, and it's like, where's my drink? I'm like, I need substance.
It was fine.
I was like, is this GayTalk or Yelp?
But anyway, so I do have an update for our
Uh-huh.
listeners because
That's right. We talk about the email guys saga, right? Is that the update?
yeah.
Okay.
So last week we were talking about the fact that
And the week before last.
that I was introduced on my work email to this guy, and beautiful guy, super excited about it. Everybody was like, we were talking about on the show last week, and they were like, people were emailing saying like, oh, clearly he must be really good looking, just judging by like the way people were reacting. I was like, yeah, well, he hasn't, responded to me, whatever, I think it's whatever. And then literally we ended the show.
And 10 minutes into our post processing, ding.
I got a text.
That's right.
So, yeah, he's nice. We're talking, and we'll see what happens.
And we'll see where it goes. So there you have it. So in the end, he did get a response. So
I was totally like kind of being a bitch about it, though. I was like, this
Yeah.
motherfucker, like,
I
what the
know.
fuck? And then he's
So-
like, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. I completely lost track of my personal email. I'm like, oh, it's completely fine.
Yeah, that sounds about right. First
know,
she gets a text, then she expects the ring. So
But Tom was so funny. He's like, do not respond until you get home. I was like, okay.
I did. I did. I
And
was
then
like,
as soon as
"Don't
I
do
got
it."
home, I was like, yeah, of course.
Make him wait for it. So LC, even though you're not here with us today, you'll be here with us next week. It is lovely. You're going to be very thrilled to find out that he did respond, and that all is well in the land of Oz.
Mhm.
So
life is short. Don't make people wait.
that's right.
Just go for it.
Well,
Seriously, you
you-
just never take a chance.
Well, I haven't dated in so long, and now I'm finally feeling like, okay, I'm ready to date again. Even though I need to lose like 15 pounds, that's fine. I'll do that.
Same.
But like, I'm ready. It's pretty exciting. Like, I feel good.
They make losing 15 pounds sound like a walk in the park.
Oh no,
I
definitely
need to
not.
walk like I need to
I have an
walk back
appointment
like
next week
90
for lipo. What are you
pounds.
talking about?
So, yeah, well, cool, awesome. I'm super excited for you, and I hope that it turns into either something productive on the love end of it, and if not, that it turns into a very beautiful friendship.
It's kind of complicated too because I also recently met somebody on Tinder who's really
Uh-huh.
awesome that I've been talking to. So I'm like, I don't know what to do, but also it's like, just
But this one
dating, it's
comes
fine.
with references, right?
Yes,
So,
actually.
so he has extra points on Tinder because he comes with references. I mean, he knows.
This sounds
someone
more
that-
like Indeed than Tinder.
It kind of was like that. I
Yeah.
mean, like one of my colleagues who I'm pretty close with, who works at a different organization, is really good friends with this other woman who is like, I am to this person as he is to her, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
And so we got connected professionally via my two friends, and I'm like, well, this is so weird. And so actually we were texting. I'm like, so how about those emails? That was kind of weird, right? He's like, yeah, but like whatever, man. Like, I was like, okay.
It happens. You just say, listen, go with the flow.
Yeah, Monday
That's all you can
morning,
say.
you get like an email from a colleague that's like, hey, you should totally hang out with this person. I'm
Mm.
like, could have sent that to my Gmail, but okay.
Does she have your Gmail?
Everybody has my Gmail.
Well, of course, even people in the corner.
Mhm.
Of course. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm
What?
excited.
You have my Gmail,
Oh,
which you do.
sure.
Yeah, I have his Gmail too.
Cool.
Except that I don't go, right to him at the corner.
Oh, okay.
So.
Bad reception.
Yes.
Okay.
Very bad.
Cool.
For
That's-
those Verizon.
Cool story, brah.
So I can't. So anyway, well, for me, my weekend. Well, actually, my week has been pretty crappy. Since last Sunday, as you know, I wasn't feeling too well last Monday. I didn't have a cocktail. I wasn't drinking or
I
anything.
know, I was so
I am
alone.
today.
Sorry, Trish.
By Tuesday, after I was done with all my fevers and blah blah blah, this turned to going back to normal. But it was rough week. And I'm at work on Friday, and I'm just like, all right, it's literally 3:29 p.m. and I'm done at 3:30. I'm just like, I cannot wait. I just said, screw it. I just literally logged off. Could have been 3:29 and a half. I didn't care. I was just like, I'm done. I came home and I threw myself on the couch. I didn't wake up until like 2 or 3 in the morning. Um, but I made sure I fed my dogs and brought them outside. But then, they
Sure.
just slept with me on the couch. And then that was it. And then I was just like, all right, guys, well, we're going to go outside one more time. And then I'm going right back to bed. And that's pretty much where I spent most of the time until I had to work on Saturday night. But I'm still going through it. You can still hear it. I'm still coughing, but I'll get through it. This always usually happens around February or March, and then of course again in October or November, I always end up getting these upper respiratory infections, and it has to do with the fact that, for example, today was a gorgeous day, right, in New England, and the sun was out. It was like almost 50 degrees, and I'm in a light jacket outside, and then then the temperature drops to like 30. And before you know it, it's like, you're sick. So it has a lot to do with it.
Anyway, how was everybody's Valentine's Day?
Uneventful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I worked, but then I surprised this guy.
Uh-huh. With?
Showed up at his house. He had no idea.
Uh-huh.
With some gifts.
Uh-huh. And?
What were they?
Well,
chocolates, flowers.
Dildos?
no, the real thing. But he's more of a
No, the real
I
thing.
was like, is that gonna he's more of a beef jerky and Cheez-Its kind of guy.
Oh my God, I can't.
So I got him beef jerky, Cheez-Its, some frozen stuff because he loves frozen.
Oh,
Did you guys
girl.
do it?
I was like,
Yeah, we did. Yeah, did you
And-
guys do it? Yeah.
But wait for it. I found out that Christopher had an opportunity to actually use our kit. So Christopher, tell us, what was your
You
experience?
bottomed?
What was
Again?
Mhm.
She's a bottom now.
She jumped on that. And so what was your experience using the product, right? Because this is important. It's a really good opportunity to discuss something that's so amazing from Bespoke Surgical. So tell us,
it was easy to use and
Uh-huh.
it was incredibly effective.
how did you stick it in?
I put it in my butt.
Okay.
Can we just talk about all right, so like I don't know if you've used any other enemas or just like the bulb or whatever, but the actual like fluid that goes in you, normally when it comes out, it's all like warm and uncomfortable. But this is like amazing.
Because this is balanced, pH balanced, whereas like the Fleet enema, it has the
it doesn't yeah, but this makes you feel clean
Right.
afterwards. The like
it doesn't destroy the mucus in
Right.
your anal cavity.
So
if
how
you
many
will.
pouches did you go through?
6, 7. I'm kidding. One.
I was gonna say, damn, she's a pro.
No, but I believe it's like saline that
Yeah.
goes in the Fleet, and that's what we had talked about in the show. The Fleet enemas, they not only remove that important mucus, but it really increases your risk of transmitting STDs and STIs. So it's really not good for you.
So I'm sure that the experience was amazing, right? And we always get the perspective at the bottom that's using the product. But let's talk to the top in this case. So
God,
that
I
sounds
can't.
so weird.
here. How was your experience? How did it feel? Does the product smell good? It's on.
what?
It wasn't on. And what kind of question is that?
I want to know. I want to know the scoop.
Yeah.
Does it smell good?
Yeah, like did you smell the pouch or,
You know what he's asking.
Yeah.
Did you fucking put your face in his butthole?
Oh no, that's not allowed.
Yeah, Chris said that's not allowed.
Okay.
I mean, I'm down for it, but he said
Talking to the mic, honey.
he said no.
Ew,
Mhm.
honey.
But he was clean.
Well,
I feel like
that's the point, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So I feel like it was effective.
So
and especially for his first time,
thank
he did well.
thank Dr. G.
Cool.
Thank Dr. G.
Thank you, Dr. G.
All right. Enough of that
Awesome.
story.
Okay, well, we're going to move on. We've got some stuff that we have to, of course, discuss before we move into break. But thank you for sharing, and
You're
thank you
welcome.
for trying the product and letting us know how it works. I have yet to use mine because I haven't bottomed in a very long time.
I love it.
But I'm sure I'll get the opportunities at some point. All right, so there's a lot of things happening. Elections are in fourth gear. We've got the primaries going, all this good stuff. We've got our first openly out gay candidate running for president. But according to LGBTQnation.com, I would say that the writer Mark Segal states that Pete Buttigieg may not have been the first president, or actually, he's not a president yet, but he could be, but may not be the first person in the White House that's going to be a gay man, or could have been a gay man. So he noted in this particular article, again, it's posted at LGBTQnation.com, and we're talking about Joshua, is it Fry Speed? I would assume that's his name. In 1837, Lincoln had moved to Springfield, Illinois to practice law and to enter politics. That's where he had met two men who would be his greatest friends throughout his entire life. One, Joshua Fried Speed, became his bed partner for a while. The other was a law partner at Hurden. And beyond the revelation that Lincoln and Speed had an intimate friendship, little has been written about how diligently Speed worked for Lincoln's legal and political career. Speed's name popped up in many of Lincoln's legal filings and on the Illinois Whig Party's Central Committee. The two were almost inseparable, according to this. Most Lincoln historians agree this relationship was the strongest and most intimate that the president had ever had in his life. And it goes on to say that what they don't agree on is why they slept in the same bed together for 4 years when they had space enough and the means to sleep separately, as we expected men in their age to do.
Let me tell you why.
Uh-huh.
We all know why.
Uh-huh.
Even without a douche, you can still get it in.
Oh, well, of course. It's perfectly fine. So there's reason to believe that President Lincoln, while young, had male sexual partners while he was studying law and starting to get into politics. So I wanted to bring up the story, and I want to just throw it out on the table and discuss it a little bit because, we could potentially be at yet another historic time in our lifetime where we could see a gay out man actually be president and have a first gentleman in the White House. So what do you guys think about this?
He's one of many.
One of many.
Mm-hmm.
Any others?
Probably.
Christopher, you're a history buff, and I know that you keep up on politics a lot. Have you ever heard of
Can
any other
you-
stories of any other people that may or may not
Have served as president?
that served as president that may have had gay relationships?
I mean, I've heard rumors and stuff before.
No.
What ifs?
Well,
Trish? I don't know.
let's talk rumors.
I have my hand up.
She has her hand up.
Trish.
Okay, so Alexander Hamilton, which we all know, the Broadway show
Uh-huh.
Hamilton, he had a relationship with a fellow John Lawrence, and this relationship is thought to be one of his homosexual relationships that went on for years and years and years. On top of that, George Washington, not gay, but an ally, encouraged Alexander Hamilton and John Lawrence to openly share a bunk while they were at camp.
Huh.
This is all real stuff.
Well, according to this article, that back in that time, it was common for men to share beds when they were rooming in hotels as they were traveling to and from, but that it wasn't common for them to share beds when they were in their home lodgings because, again, houses being so big, that they had ample room to actually have separate rooms, as was the custom or expected of them at that time. But by the 1840s, both Lincoln and Speed, now one being 31 and the other 26, were considered well past the age of marrying. Both bachelors reportedly were hesitant to tie the knot, but it was a de facto requirement to have a wife if you wanted to move into the political circles at that time. And so that's probably how Lincoln ended up with. Is it Mary?
Mary?
Mary. Yeah.
She was beat.
Well,
Poor thing. So is he.
well, I mean, and they also had issues, and of course, we all know that he had a child that was very sick while in the White House, and we all know how that ended up, and of course, we know that by the end of the 1860s, we lost the president because he was assassinated by
John Wilkes Booth.
I was gonna say William J. Booth or something like that, but John Wilkes Booth. Thank you. And so yeah, I was a little. It was a very interesting article to read again. I don't know how true this is, but it is posted. If you guys want to go read it, it is on LGBTQNation.com.
There's also, just to tag on,
Uh-huh.
James Buchanan, who was known as the only bachelor president
That's
ever
true.
elected.
Mhm.
And there are multiple accounts of him engaging in gay relationships.
You know, this all reminds
He's actually
me.
known as technically the first gay president.
Huh. It just reminds me of that show, House of Cards,
I never watched it.
right? And where the character played by Kevin Spacey, which of course we knew he was removed from the show afterwards, ended up having a relationship with some of his Secret Service men, even while his wife in the whole series knew. So it was interesting to see that dynamic, but I know that that's fictional. But we're potentially talking about, the things that could change how we know some of these presidents and some of these people in our history,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool.
I think it's pretty interesting. The 15th president, James Buchanan, was a bachelor. He wasn't married, and he was elected. That's like kind of a big deal.
Well, I mean, also too, where is he from, right? Like, for example, the requirements for fitting in society in the South were certainly different than those of the North.
Most of our presidents are from the South.
So, if you really think about it, maybe it was socially acceptable to be a bachelor and have ambitions and be political in the South, where it may have not been the case in the North. People
That wasn't
would
very
think-
gentlemanlike, though.
He was
So-
born in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Interesting.
Mhm.
All right. So that's all I have for the first half of the show. So we're going to move it on to some other things. This next one is Christopher's. It's going to be a little, we're going to get rowdy up in this motherfucker, but
Possibly, yeah.
go
I mean,
for it.
Well, I found this article on The Advocate, and you can tell that the author, John Casey, is no fan of the president. I mean, there were some strong words in here, and he's also no fan of Rush Limbaugh, the conservative radio host, as we know, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the State of the Union, which he called
Week. Now it's like that medal means nothing.
right.
It doesn't. It literally doesn't. You literally gave that medal to someone who does not deserve it. He's a bigot. He's a racist. He's a liar. He's a misogynistic asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that. And quite honestly, he had no business in in earning that medal.
Right.
While we had another person who was over the age of 100 sitting 2 people away from him, literally staring like, what the fuck? Like, what about me?
I know.
I served in war. I'm standing here and you're honoring this man and giving him, the Medal of Honor
Freedom.
or
Medal
freedom.
of Freedom. It's the highest civilian award.
It's bullshit.
Yeah. And it really, I mean, imagine being a recipient of it in the past. Like you said, it almost like discredits the award now. It set a whole new precedence. So
Sorry,
There
I
was
know
a
you
meme.
wanna- There was no. It was an article, political sketch. Help me. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about? Like in the New York Times.
okay.
A
Where
satirical, like,
yeah, everybody who had received the award before was throwing it in the trash.
Mother Teresa was there, Rosa Parks.
Martin
They
Luther King.
were all just literally just throwing it out. Just like, yep, done. And that's essentially what he's done with that.
Well, that's what he's done with the presidency.
Pretty much.
So-
He's just literally delegitimized the soul of this country
Mhm.
in doing so.
Anyway,
just
you were
horrible.
saying the story because we have not even gotten into that yet.
No, the whole thing was not long after the State of the Union, and the author says loudmouth Limbaugh, started blurting out again, and he was quoted saying that the Republican presidential nominee, obviously Trump, will have fun if Buttigieg is the Democratic presidential nominee. And he goes on to quote saying, America is still not ready to elect a gay guy kissing his husband on the presidential debate stage. Democrats have to be saying this, don't they? Excuse me, I'm
Did he
Yeah,
question
yeah.
it? Like, how are you going to explain that to your kids?
Yeah, I don't. I
no,
didn't.
that was something different.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, wasn't he questioning, like, how do you explain that to your kids? Wasn't he the
But-
one that was questioning that?
I'm sure. I mean, if it's something that he would stand for or something that he would say. But I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing. America's still not ready to elect a gay guy kissing his husband. One, I believe he hugged Chasten before he even went on the debate stage. Not that it matters if he was kissing him. Regardless of that,
You're right. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Regardless of that, I feel like America is pretty much ready for everything because we elected a
Donald
man
Trump.
who is saying that you can sexually assault women. If you have enough power, you can stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose a single vote. America pretty much said that they were ready to elect anything.
Well, I mean, at this point, anything is absolutely possible. You know,
And this man is incredibly qualified. Someone was telling me about they were working, and someone was saying, how is this man qualified to be president? First of all, I would say that about the president, but he is qualified. He's over 35 years of age. He was born in the United States, and he's lived here for the past 7 years consecutively. He's very well qualified. He's also served our nation. He's a Rhodes Scholar and a Harvard Scholar. He's fluent in, I believe, 7 different languages, and he's a well-put-together, caring, bright future for the United States. So he's more than qualified.
I think that he is completely capable of taking on the dump on the debate stage.
Absolutely.
In a very calm, composed.
And Trump won't be able to handle that.
No, he won't. He'll lose his shit. He will absolutely
that's
lose
the
his
thing,
shit.
because when it goes down to different candidates, if you were to have, like, I think Klobuchar would probably keep it pretty calm, but if you look at Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, I think things are going to get a little more heated, where Buttigieg will really keep his composure, and that's what's going to get under Trump's skin more.
I think even Biden, believe it or not, because Biden has his moments.
Biden
Biden
would start arguing.
Oh, of course, when he gets to the point where like he's pushed into a corner, he gets very testy.
Yeah,
and that's been evident even in some of the debates that we've had, in where when he was perceived to be the top front runner at the time, people were already attacking him. You would see Buttigieg, you would see Kamala, you would see all of these other individuals start attacking him for his record and some of the things that he's voted for and some of the things that he hasn't voted for. And you would see how he would start getting shaky, and he would start getting
and he would start to stumble over his words. And well, I know he had a stuttering issue. I wasn't trying to make fun of that.
Well, no, I mean, but
that's not what I meant. But he was stumbling over his words because you could tell he was getting heated.
Oh, of course. And I think that Donald Trump's ability to be able to elicit that response from many people is established. That would be very easy to do.
And that's his strategy. When you look at the leading up to the 2016 election, going through the Republican primary process, they started with some 20 Republicans, and one by one, Donald Trump bullied them off the stage.
And
I think that's why Bloomberg has entered the race. Honestly, I think the Democrats have him entering the race because
he's got some serious baggage, though. I mean, when
I don't care about baggage at this point, because when you talk about baggage, let's talk about Trump's baggage, okay? I'm not talking about baggage. I don't go into their history, pull up their emails. I don't fucking give a shit, because the American people clearly don't give a fuck about baggage at this point.
But but we also have to think about, we're running into our next primary is going to be, or caucus is going to be, in Nevada. Shortly after that, they're moving on to South Carolina. There's potentially several candidates that are going to have a very hard time if they don't have the black vote. And that's a very important demographic in the South, especially in South Carolina. When you look at the electorate there, over 40% of the people that are voting in South Carolina are black.
And you also have to remember, when you're looking out in Nevada, there's a very high Asian American population,
and
high
Latinos.
Latinos, Native Americans as well. So there's multiple demographics that these candidates are really going to have to pinpoint to pull away with some delegates. I mean, we're only 2 states in so far.
That's right.
Buttigieg is leading with 22. Bernie's right behind him with 21 delegates.
And it'd be interesting to see how, because Biden thinks that he's got the black vote lock, stock, and barrel, and that very, very well may be true. But it'd be interesting to see how candidates like Bloomberg, if he does enter in time to hit South Carolina, or even on Super Tuesday, or even Buttigieg himself, to see how they do, especially when they have a lot of history, him being a mayor of a predominantly black city, and of course, Bloomberg just having issues with stop and frisk.
Yeah, I was going to say that's something, but he acknowledged that. He had to come out and acknowledge that, but that is something that's going to hinder him.
So can we go back to the actual story that we were talking about?
Yes, Rush Limbaugh.
We were talking about Rush Limbaugh and the whole Pete Buttigieg kissing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Rush Limbaugh said, so I saw a political ad where Mayor Pete Buttigieg going on and on and on and on and on about how parents in America are struggling to explain President Trump to their children. And then I happened to see this. He holds up a photo of Buttigieg kissing his husband for the video subscribers to see. You think natural conclusion. So he says Trump causes problems for parents. What about this? So basically he's saying people are having a hard time explaining Trump to their kids, but they can't explain two men kissing to their kids.
Well, just to put things into perspective, in certain cultures, it is typical for men to kiss, whether it's not necessarily in the mouth, but for example, when you think about Italians, back home, when you greet a fellow Italian, you give a kiss on each cheek. It's not.
Some kiss on the lips, but that's yeah.
It has to do with one. They have to be brought up to be told that two men kissing is wrong.
Yeah.
Or two women kissing is wrong.
And that is reflective of what they're being learned.
Exactly. Well, taught at home, or learning. But that being said, you don't need to learn what it means to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So by seeing Trump, they don't have to be taught that he's a dumbass.
I was having a conversation this week with a friend of mine. It was a business conversation, but anyway, she was talking about a couple of the local private schools in our area.
Mm-hmm.
And one specifically, I'm not going to mention names, but this one school, there is a transgender kid, and so the school took an initiative to teach the kids about it. But not only teach the kids in a positive way, but make sure the parents were educated as well. That's the problem, right? People are saying, well, what about the kids? The kids can be educated, right? But the parents need to be educated first.
Yeah.
And the only way to educate them is for them to get the information from sources like the school.
Mm-hmm.
People have to take the initiative. It's not just going to happen. First of all, two men kissing shouldn't be a fucking problem, especially when you have a fucking president in the office that's saying, I could literally stand in the middle of New York and shoot somebody in the face and not get arrested. That is a problem.
Not lose votes.
That is a problem.
Or go in on a bus with another, TV personality and say that it's okay to grab women by the pussy.
Yeah, to sexually assault women.
It's ridiculous.
You have enough money, you can get away with what you want.
To see this man making that argument, it's not an issue. Marriage equality was, the law of the land. And it has been since 2015. It's not going anywhere. We're not going to stop getting married. We're not going to stop pushing for our rights because, again, those are our rights. We have a right to be who we are. And have our civil liberties in the process.
And the only way to get rid of this concept of what normal is, right? Heterosexual norms, is to continually move forward with, yes, kissing in public, being open and honest.
Mm-hmm.
These rom-coms that are coming out, Love, Simon. I mean, these are all things that are making the new normal. I fucking hate that term. I hate normal because I don't think that there is a normal. I think everybody is unique in their own way. But the reality is we need to continue to push forward. And the fact that people think that this is a weird thing, two men kissing, like, come the fuck on. We had a mainstream movie about gay love. And, like, there are more and more coming out. And there are more kids in Disney shows and all that stuff having gay characters. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Plus, we have prime ministers that are gay and they are married and they are 100% more effective than our current president. So,
and I'm thankful for companies like Disney, for example, who took the initiative of putting characters that are LGBTQ at the forefront of some of their work that they're doing on Disney Plus. Like, for example, we had discussed a story a few months back about, the two lead characters in High School Musical, the reboot on Disney Plus, they're gay. And so when you're saying, how do you explain that to kids? Trust me, kids already know. And kids know far more now than we ever did when we were growing up. And the truth of the matter is that, your bigotry and your hatred is, I'm sorry, but it's going out the wayside. And this new generation is going to be exposed to so much more. And I hope that as a result of that exposure, they'll be so much more tolerant of things that they may not want to experience themselves, but that, don't impact their lives at all in any way. I mean, what I do at home or what I do with my lover has nothing to do with you. It doesn't impact what you do behind your four walls or what you believe in.
Mhm.
I can't tell you that just because I want to kiss, you can't be religious or that you can't do this or that you can't do that. It's just a reality.
But
It's
also,
who we are.
if a parent is having a hard time explaining something like this to their kids or trying to find a way to explain it to their kids,
Mhm.
educate yourself. Because if you don't educate yourself and you say that it's wrong or, you make it an awkward situation or an awkward conversation, what you're going to do is you're going to continue the stigma, continue these kids to be like, that's weird, that's wrong.
Mhm.
They're going to continue to bully kids. They might be gay themselves. You're going to continue to, plug into the suicide rate that is the LGBTQ plus community that keeps skyrocketing because literally that conversation about two men kissing has a huge impact on everything that happens.
Right, absolutely. And I like to think we need to give kids a little bit more credit. Like, for instance, when we went to my father's surprise party and Tyler was there, I think it was obvious to my young nieces that I don't know if they would have thought right away that we're boyfriends, but it was obvious that we're not just friends. So I think kids need to be given a little bit more credit. Also, that being said, of course, it's so important that things do start from the ground up. So it really starts at the household. That's where it's the
course.
most important. But we do have to remember that we do have people in the political eye that are having our back. For instance, if you look at Michigan's first openly gay elected official, the Attorney General Dana Nessel, she tweeted following Rush Limbaugh's words. She had trolled him on Valentine's Day, saying, like I said on her tweet, in honor of Valentine's Day, here is an awkward picture of me making out with my super hot wife on election night. At Pete Buttigieg is not going back in the closet, and neither am I. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Rush Limbaugh. Hashtag love is love.
That's amazing.
And it's
Absolutely.
awesome.
And it's also, sorry.
No, go.
Well, I'm going to point out another.
Yeah. Go.
Okay.
Wait.
If you want to talk about this one real quick, then say it.
No, I was just going to, quick story. When I was talking about kids and telling them about gay stuff and all that stuff, whatever. When I was in college and when I was dating Matt, I was at my sister's for Thanksgiving, and me and Matt were in the kitchen prepping something, and Merrick, who was super young at the time, he must have been 5 or 6, came walking into the kitchen, and me and Matt are kissing, and he was just like deadpan, like his face went white, and he was like, and ran into the other room. Mom, Uncle Nick is kissing his friend Matt. I was like, oh shit, I gotta handle this. So I run out into the living room, and I'm like, Merrick, can we talk for a second? And he's like, uh-huh. And I was like, so, you know how some people love the same sex and that's okay. He's like, yeah, I know you're gay. I was like, oh my God, Merrick, I can't. And I saw him this weekend and we were talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, no, I knew you were gay. It was just the first time I saw you kissing a guy.
Right, and it could be super awkward, right? If it's not something that for example, because of social norms, you have not been exposed to, and it can grab you by shock. You know, you can be shocked at seeing something that you've never seen before.
Yeah, and I knew I was going to have that conversation, but I was
Eventually,
like
right.
not expecting him to be
Right.
like, yeah, no, I know you're gay.
Clearly,
I'm like, all right, Merrick, thanks, man.
it's crazy. But here's what I say. At this point, we've laid all the cards on the table, right? We know who the candidates are. We're gonna see now what happens. We have 2 races ahead of us, then Super Tuesday. Pictures are going to start sort of kind of painting themselves at that point on who the Democratic front runner may be, or where we're headed as a party with a candidate, and we just have to wait and see. At this point, we cannot tell. I cannot sit here and honestly say that after what happened in 2016, that we can sit here and say, oh, but the polls say. We already know what the polls said the last time, and look what happened.
Exactly.
And so I'm not going to, at this point, just put energy into something that I have not seen for a fact materialized before me. And so
Before we move on, I did want to point out something else since we were talking about people who are standing up for us. When you look at the Virginia House of Delegates,
Oh my God.
this was on Tuesday, February 12th. Our friend Trudy Ring over at the Advocate.com, she reported a story of a pastor, I believe he was.
Pastor?
I said pasture.
Yeah.
He's a reverend. Excuse me. I should have just went with that one. I would have got it right. Reverend Dr. Robert Grant Jr. He was giving the opening prayer before that house, and while he was giving this quote unquote prayer, he started condemning abortion. He started going into that. He started calling out why there are so many abortion clinics near African American communities. He says this is, quote, planned urban genocide. He did go into inequality and justice reform, which I agree with. There are people of color who serve longer sentences for committing the same crime as a white counterpart. That is very true. But then after first talking about abortions, then he moves on to saying that, quote, marriage is to join a biological male and a biological female in holy matrimony to not provoke the Almighty God. And when he continued this, the Speaker of the House, Eileen Filler Corn, who is a Democrat, she couldn't take his bigotry anymore. She banged the gavel, and the chamber went into saying the Pledge of Allegiance. He wasn't able to continue. And even before that happened, you could hear a delegate was not having this, because you can actually hear him or her, I'm not sure, it's kind of quiet, screaming, is this a prayer or a sermon? So people were already getting pissed off. And then once the speaker said enough is enough, Democrats left the chamber. Even some House Republicans had walked back to the back of the room. They were outraged.
It's incredibly disrespectful, knowing now that, so when you think of Virginia right now, Virginia is at the forefront of passing bills that are protecting LGBTQ rights at such an impressive rate that it is incredible to see. But to go into the House of Delegates knowing that we have, for example, a transgender woman who is a member of that body, of that chamber, Danica Rome. She had won her seat 2 years ago during the 2018 midterm elections. And, where do you get off going into a chamber knowing that we have people that are part of our community? And by the way, they had the largest number of LGBTQ people that were elected that year into that chamber, that sit with these folks and sit with their fellow Democrats and maybe some of the Republicans there. Where do you get off going out and just, thinking that you're going to be able to get away with something like that?
Well, it's really interesting, too, because Virginia is the first southern U.S. state to pass the LGBTQ anti-discrimination protection bill, right?
Yep.
And it, passed in huge numbers.
Yes.
59 to 35 in the House, 30 to 9 in the Senate. And this person, this reverend, this reverend is up there literally spewing hate right before this whole thing happens. It's like, what are you doing? You are in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You're literally decades ago, honey. Like pull your shit together.
Right, exactly.
You are spewing hate. You're creating so much drama that's not needed. Like, what the fuck,
And
man?
the speaker had enough. That's what I said. Good for her. Like, you can actually go to the Advocate. You can click on the video, or I believe the links from Facebook, but you can go and watch Dr. Robert Grant Jr.'s opening, quote unquote, again, prayer for the House of Delegates, and she just has it. She picks up the gavel, bangs it, and then everyone stands and turns to the flag and starts the Pledge of Allegiance, and then he kind of just walks off to the side.
Good for her. All right, well, listen, guys, we've been going for about 40 minutes. I think it's time for us to take a quick break.
I got a piddle.
And, recharge and do all the things that we do while we're on break. So we're going to leave you with some music, and when we come back, we have more dish. Here we go.
It's hard to see you with a man you call your friend, but in the end, I know I don't have much time to tell you why I wanna die, but then I cry, so then I lie, so I don't make you bend time. 'Cause if you wanted me to move, you know I would, because I'm good at making you love me. And if I said I needed more than I came for, would you ignore me making you love me? So baby, play me on your loudspeaker. If you
Welcome back, everybody, because Tom was not ready because we were talking.
We were all talking and doing all that crazy stuff. So welcome back from the break. That, of course, was Time by Pat Riley. It will most likely be the last time that we hear that song for a while because
We have new stuff?
we have a guest that's coming back on next week. Of course, is Davis Mallory. He's got some new music.
Oh,
He's
cool.
sent it over to us. We've got to get, of course, out of the email and into our system to be able to actually play it for you guys. So we're super excited to have him back on. And he, of course, is the author of Loud, which we played during the beginning of the show, which you're not going to hear on the podcast version of the show, and Dance With Me. So we've got some new music coming on, and we're super excited about that. And also, I wanted to reply to someone who had sent over and said, hey, listen, there's some music that came out that I thought you guys might be interested in. And the thing is, we don't have a licensing agreement to play music from any of the major record houses that provide music. And so, therefore, we can only play music on the show that we are authorized to play.
That being said, if anybody wants to sponsor the show, we will buy the license.
That's right. And so, or you can go and become a Patreon, and the more you give, the better our ability to be able to do different things on the show, including having a music licensing agreement, which will allow us to play different types of songs.
Right, and I haven't been here in a while, but I promise you, I still love money, so we'll take it.
Thank you.
For good use, though.
Yeah,
for good
of
use,
course.
though.
They monopolized the first half of
Yeah,
the show.
kind of. I was like, I'm
And-
here,
And,
and I'm going to
she-
let it be known.
So I'm going to let her speak, because she hasn't been here a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But Trish has some very interesting stories, which I'm sure are going to turn into some very heated conversation regarding the topics of these stories. So I'm going to let Trish take over. And this is your segment now, bitch. Go.
Wait, why? What? Why?
Because you put it in there.
And someone is to be burned.
Yeah.
And who burns better?
Then Trish.
Well, I actually want to start with my first story.
And that's fine. And then we can move on to the burn.
So there was a gay couple that was
Mhm.
shot in Miami after kissing.
Sad. It really is very sad.
And one is in critical care. Actually, I don't know. I don't have any updates, so I don't know if he's still in critical care because this happened on the 15th. But this couple in Miami.
Out of all places.
Fucking Miami.
But it's Florida.
But it's Miami. Have you ever been to Miami?
No.
Miami is gay.
Yeah.
Like, everything is gay.
And if it's not gay, it's like super gay.
Yeah. Literally.
But
I mean, like, you do coke in the Burger King bathroom, it's that gay.
okay, but just
Okay.
remember the atrocities that have happened in Florida.
No, yeah.
Of course, we have to remind ourselves that we are still in Florida. But of course, Miami's also very, it's also very machismo. There's a lot of machismo there. It's very Latin,
Right.
right? And so
And then you go to the
Um,
Panhandle, which is not like the rest of Florida.
at all. And so, I would say that probably the safest gay spot in Miami would probably be, the Keys. When you go,
That's
to,
not
And
Miami.
he meant in Florida.
excuse me, when you go to
I know what he meant.
Florida, the safest spot in Florida for gay people, of course, is Key West. And so,
Well,
um,
so with this story, I mean, not only did this gay couple get attacked, but also there was a lesbian woman as
That's
well
right.
with her
Mhm.
wife, and she getting into her car got shot as well. The bullet,
grazed her head.
yeah,
Yeah.
grazed her head. So I mean, like, it's just crazy to me. I mean, it's 2020. Remember when it was supposed to be 2020? We're like flying cars, all this stuff, like
Mhm.
free, whatever. People are fucking shooting people
Yeah.
for kissing in the streets.
And, again, this could potentially end up being or turning into a hate crime.
Oh no, it
because-
was deemed a hate crime the moment it happened.
Oh, good. Well, it very well should, because, obviously, if you have two men kissing and all of a sudden they're getting shot, there's only but one real conclusion that you can come to when it comes to people attacking members of our community for expressing their love.
Mhm.
And in the end, that's exactly what it is. It's fucking love, dude.
But like, we also have to acknowledge that hate crime has spiked significantly since Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
course.
Like, it's crazy, astronomic. Like the amount of people that have been subjected to hate and gun violence and or just violence in general is ridiculous, including the entire spectrum of the community, transgender community, gay, lesbian, everybody is getting fucking hurt
Yeah.
because of Trump's rhetoric.
It's growing at an exponential rate. Of course, it's affecting our community, the LGBTQ plus community, but of course, it's not avoiding the communities of color, immigrants as well. You know, the hatred that this man has spewed from the White House, as like Tom said, has given people, those who were voiceless, a platform to stand up and spew their hate and spew their bullets to innocent people.
And then it doesn't help too that that Florida is one of those states where I believe you can open carry there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's the stand your ground.
The
So they
stand
can
your ground-
use that stuff to.
yeah, but like
yeah.
you can't like. I'm sorry, like that has nothing to do with this.
No, of
Well,
course not. But I'm just saying the lax laws, though, following the shooting at in Parkland, I believe the Florida governor did sign into law an incredibly strict gun legislation, I believe, following the shooting in Parkland.
I don't remember off the top of my head
I believe he
if
signed
what
a
it
bill.
was. And we can certainly, come back to that and make sure that we get that information out there if it is indeed the case. But the thing is that having access to guns like they do, it's very easy to get guns in Florida.
It's very easy to get guns anywhere.
Well, not so. There's other states that have far more restrictions.
You can get a gun underage easier than you can get a bottle of beer.
Oh, of course, but I'm saying that there are some states that have stricter regulations on the books at the state level that make it a lot harder than folks that live in Florida. But again, this doesn't negate the fact that this happened and that we have two individuals who were just expressing love for one another and get shot for it. And in the process, other bystanders that were there also get shot.
I mean, we talk about it on the show all the time. Like, even in New Haven, like walking down the street, you're always like, if I'm holding somebody's hand, I'm like kind of aware. I'm aware, I'm scanning, I'm protecting myself.
Of course, and you have
We
to be.
shouldn't have to feel that way.
No.
We should not have to fucking feel that way at all. So these stats are from 2018, so I'm sorry if they're old, but in 2018, 7,120 hate crimes were committed. Nearly 1 in 5 of them were anti-LGBTQ. Out of those incidents, people were targeted because of sexual orientation 1,196 times, while 168 were targeted because of their gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
726 men were targeted because they were gay. 129 women were targeted because they were lesbians. 303 were targeted for being LGBTQ, and 21 people were targeted for being bisexual. On top of that, which is interesting, I did not know this, 17 people were targeted for being straight. So let's think about that. All right, let's look at that, right? So 17 people were targeted because they were straight. 17 people in a year were targeted. 7,120 hate crimes happened. And 17 of them were because people were straight. And I'm sure that's stemming from anger and hostility or whatever.
Retaliation could be.
Maybe, and that's sad and horrible to think about. But I don't want to go over those numbers again. Let's reiterate. People are targeting the LGBTQ plus community, specifically lesbian, gay, transgender. It doesn't matter. People are dying. People are being shot. People are being just hurt. Like, what the fuck? This is 2020. Like, people, pull your fucking shit together. Why are you targeting people that are just expressing love? Like, it makes no fucking sense to me.
But it doesn't make any sense to any of us, and it's something that shouldn't be happening. But here's the truth. The truth is that in a country where we have over 325 million people, half of those people don't believe we should have the rights that we have today.
Mhm.
That is true. Hashtag fact. And so when you have half of the population not believing that you should exist as a human being, it makes it very easy for things like this to happen. And also, when you have someone in office that's perpetuating this type of ideology, it makes it even more easier for someone to really just say, hey, fuck it, I'm just going to go out there and do it. And let the chips fall where they fall and let whoever dies dies, but this is the reality that we live in. We have to, like you said, we shouldn't have to, but unfortunately we do. When we're in public spaces, we have to have 20 eyes all around us, and we have to be scanning, and we have to be vigilant of our surroundings, who's around us, what's happening. Sadly, we have to think about it twice before we grab our partner's hands in public or before we kiss them in public. And that's why more and more, and I come from an older generation, I appreciate the safe spaces that we have, like our bars and other, LGBTQ spaces that allow us to do that without having to be hyper
The
vigilant.
Pride Center or something.
Yeah.
There's something coming up this year that's incredibly important. It's not just simply a numbers game, but the census is coming out, and that's a constitutional law that every 10 years the population needs to be counted. Like I said, not only is it just looking so we can update how many people live here, but it's incredibly important because it's going to affect your representation in Washington.
That's right.
We remember 10 years ago, Connecticut lost a district because not enough people did the census, filled out the census, and
Or moved out.
it was
Because we have had
yes,
very
we have, but it
large
was also there was
population
they believe that there was a large number of people that didn't also take the fill it out. Regardless of that, like I said, we lost a district, so we then lost a vote in the House of Representatives. So it's imperative that everyone fills out the census. It has to go down to federal funding. It's going to have to do a lot with your education, but it's so important that we have the proper voices in Washington. So it's so important that you take the time and make sure that you fill it out. Now this year, starting this census, it can be done online.
Yeah.
If you don't fill it out, an enumerator will show up and knock on your door and ask you the questions. But it's incredibly important to make sure that you are out there or you're ready and willing and eager to fill out the census.
And one other thing that I would like to point out too is the importance of localized elections at the state level. A lot of people focus on what's happening nationally, right? Because that's what you see, that's what's being, put out on the media. But we don't realize how important it is to have representation locally, because what starts at the local level is sort of kind of what pushes out into the
permeates
nation. And you'll see that in things, for example, like marriage equality. You started things happening at the state level, and you had all these states that were saying, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to acknowledge marriage equality. It's not a thing. And then this would end up in the courts. And then every state doing it, those push and that effort at the state level eventually gave us the ratio that the court finally needed to say, okay, well, you know what? Fuck it. We have enough states on record that at this point support marriage equality. We're just gonna go for it, balls in, and now the nation can get married. But those started at the state level, and while we have a long fight ahead of us, and we have a very huge fight with all of this crazy nationalism that's happening under this idiotic president and his rhetoric, I think that we need to, those grassroots movements have more impact locally, and so not only familiarize yourself with what's going on nationally, but make sure that you know what's going on in your own backyard, because not doing so could really be the difference between how you live your life, where you live, and how you are seen at a national level.
Absolutely. And like we said on the first half of the show, it starts from the ground up. So it is the local elections that really permeate into the rest of the nation. And a lot of these people that perhaps start and serving as local servants will eventually, move up the chains of command within that state or commonwealth or territory, and then eventually be thrusted into the national level of politics.
And we've seen that with both of our senators. When you look at, Richard Blumenthal, and you look at Chris Murphy, they have been local representatives here in the state, whether they were local state senators or state representatives. I believe that Blumenthal was our attorney general for a while, and he's served in several different capacities in administrations, crossing Republican and Democratic governors here. And so it'd be interesting. It's interesting to see the dynamic and how things play out, but it's very important that you get involved on what's happening in your own backyard.
And another thing real quick with that, remember what started at the state levels was the states beginning to ban the failed, atrocious practice of conversion therapy.
That's right.
So this does come back to being gay stuff. See what I did there,
Thank
Trish?
you.
Yes, I brought it back. That started at the state levels, and eventually that is going to get up to the point when when Congress starts to see us approaching that 37 state threshold. They're going to realize that this is what the majority of the nation wants, and then some national law will be put into effect. The Equality Act as well, becoming the next amendment, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Enough states were signed on, but then some kind of retracted their stance on the Equal Rights Amendment. But it is incredibly important to start at the local levels.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
So,
So this all goes back to the fact that
mm-hmm,
we need to fill out the census so that we have representation, right? We
mhm.
need to be aware of what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I just want to take it back to the fact that we were talking about people that were shot
Uh-huh.
because they were gay. And I also want to talk about the fact that a huge problem that we're still facing is living in the trans community. So in 2019, the latest report that I found, 331 people were killed this year for identifying as trans. That's 331 people that were killed because they identified as transgender. That's ridiculous. And what's crazy to me, and we've talked about this on the show, is that 130 of those people were in Brazil.
Yeah.
Then 63 in Mexico and another 30 in the United States. So we really have to stop thinking. We have to think locally, but we also have to really start thinking globally. And how can we actually make a difference and help people that are suffering globally? Like this talk show is great. We're great, in my opinion.
I agree.
Anybody can email us and tell us that we're not, whatever. But the point is, how do we take what's important here and also make a difference everywhere else? Because the reality is, yes, hate crime has spiked in the United States. Thank you, Donald Trump. Fuck off. But it is still ongoing everywhere else, and people are dying.
Well, what's important to do with that is action, not just words. We have to remember, and Hans even called us out when I was sharing this story, how Trump said he wants to end violence again, or end criminalizing homosexuality worldwide. And that was just a ploy. That was just something
of
to put out
course.
there. I mean, when you look at the laws that they're pushing forward and the person he has serving as his vice president, he does not care about these laws. So his
Can you
word.
just repeat that one more time? What is he? What do they want to
There
do?
was a call to end criminalization of homosexuality
Worldwide.
globally. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So that in itself is a problem. The fact that it is still a
Oh, of
criminal offense.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
it disgusts me to think that people live in a country where they can't live their life, right? So they literally, for being who they are, can be killed, can be
Locked up.
jailed
Imprisoned, right.
jailed.
Mhm.
Like
Beaten,
it's
whipped.
it's crazy.
And it is, because when you look at some of these draconian laws that come from, decades or, hundreds and hundreds of years ago that just haven't been taken out of their constitution, or they've just been part of what the nation stands by, it's getting worse because nations are starting to, again, act on those laws. When we look at what's happened in Egypt, we look at what's happened in Chechnya, Azerbaijan, not only are these laws still on the books, some are pulling back. India, we've talked about, and a couple other nations. But more nations are starting to act on these old draconian laws.
But one
Why
important
do you think
thing.
that is?
Probably totalitarianism and continued totalitarianism and religion. They're letting the religion supersede their independent government.
So so remember when we were harping on Chechnya and everything that was going on over there?
Yeah, we have a poster right behind you.
Yeah, and the United States didn't do shit.
Right.
Correct.
Didn't
do
even condemn
shit.
it.
I think that there is this weird world that we're living in now where people feel like they can get away with it. And like, I'm not saying that America, but the reality is we had been the world power. We had been this policing state, right? So something was going on, we would go in and try to help it. This is a genocide that's happening in Chechnya, right?
But because it's
Genocides
gay,
are happening everywhere. But because it's gay, we're not stepping in, we're not doing anything, and people are getting away with it. And I think that the reason we're seeing such an increase right now is because America doesn't seem to give a fuck.
We don't have any morals.
Well, half of the country doesn't, and unfortunately, that's the half of the country that's in power right now, and so it's very clear and evident that while this half of the country, or people that feel like the people that are representing them in Congress, have that power, they're not going to give a fuck, and it's going to be okay because half of the country thinks it's okay,
Right.
and that's the sad part. You know, that's the realization that we need to come to that half of the country would like to see us offed, would like to see us have no rights, would like to see us die, or probably be killed, or be any of these things that are currently happening
Yeah.
in these other countries. If it and probably would happen here at a far more higher rate if it wasn't for the fact that we have laws
Mm-hmm.
against murder or against certain things that are making people think about it twice.
The fact that I can literally Google something and find out, and literally the title of the article is transgender lynching in 2020.
It's sad
That's a problem.
and
And
disturbing.
yeah, we have to really, I mean, right now with Trump, obviously, we really have to be concerned about what's going on in our nation. We have to be concerned about what's going on in our nation, and we have to fix it because let's look at all of these ripple effects, right? And if we're just concerned about what's going on here, then we are so blind to what's going on everywhere else. We need to really not just think locally, we need to think globally. How our vote matters. It doesn't just matter at home. It matters everywhere else.
Well, we set how we would say the temperature for the rest of the world, right? What's happening here is typically
Or
something
we used
that
to anyway.
or we used to that.
No,
sort
no,
of
we still do, just in a negative way now.
now because again, half of the country is the half of the country that's in power, of course, is the one that wants to allow all these things to happen. But what I wanted to say is we're about to jump into one of the most polarizing primaries and election seasons of our lifetime. This is going to be crazy. The fact that we still have to dethrone or remove a president who's already been impeached is historic in itself. And there's a lot of ramifications that could come from not having the turnout that we're expecting. But what I wanted to say is that this time, especially this time around, because he knows that one, his ability to have immunity is on the line. His ability to have immunity from prosecution for some of the investigations that are still happening are on the line. He's going to come out with guns blazing, and he is going to try everything. And so what I ask of our community is to do what Rachel always says. I love Rachel Maddow, but she always says, watch what they do, not what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example of that is saying, hey, listen, we want to start a global initiative that would decriminalize homosexuality, but nothing was ever done. Right? It was fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Watch what they're doing, not what they're saying, because those two narratives speak so differently in regards to how the outcome ends up being.
Absolutely.
So, and as far as the story that we were covering about this gay couple, I hope that you recover. We're wishing you, we're sending well wishes your way to all of the victims that were involved, including the two women who were also, unfortunately shot as well. And we hope that they would have a speedy recovery. And obviously, if we get any details on any updates in regards to their well-being, we'll certainly bring that up and let you guys know.
Yeah, and I think before we close it out, it's important to note that today, I feel like I have conversations with people, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but well, I mean, marriage equality is legal now. I mean, the problem's over. You guys are fine.
No.
And
It's not the case.
that comment makes me so angry because a lot of the people that I talk to that say that, they're allies, they're supportive, they are 100% behind us. And I'm like, if you want to be a true ally, if you want to be a true advocate, educate yourself because it's not over. I mean, whether it's this country or outside of this country, the battle, the fight is still happening. We have to be visible. We have to be vocal because people are fucking dying. And kids are killing themselves. It's making me crazy to think that somebody who is heterosexual can sit there and say, well, you have marriage equality now. It's fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. Go fuck yourself.
We can
no,
still
it's not
get
fine.
we can still get fired. We can still be denied housing. We have so many.
We still can be denied fucking adopting kids that need homes that are just stuck in the system.
Absolutely.
And
So when you look at what came out recently of Putin saying that pretty much under his dead body will marriage equality ever be legal in Russia. We're like aligning with that. We're pretty much, yeah, we passed marriage equality. The Supreme Court made sure that that would be the law of the land. But there are Kim Davises, Waffle House Kims, plenty of them out there who are going to try their best to supersede what the Supreme Court says is the duly given right.
And like, even just like I'm going to make a quick segue because I'm going to talk about Wendy Williams really quick. I don't want to go deep into it because she's I've never liked her. But like her rhetoric, like just like flippantly saying what she said on her show is a prime example of why this is a problem. Like, you call yourself an ally, you call yourself supportive, you are trying to apologize now to your supportive LGBTQ plus members, but then you go and fucking say something like that. Meanwhile, mind you, she is an African American female, so her, the African Americans have been repressed for so long, but homosexuals, the LGBTQ plus community have been repressed as well. And like, there's no way or reason for you to say something so negative about a boy or a girl that wants to wear a fucking dress and heels. Just because they can pull it off better than you, honey, that's not a reason to go attack somebody. Like, and she said it flippantly. It wasn't like a pointed thing. It wasn't like, hey, like, I'm gonna make a point to hurt the gay community right now. It was like flippantly and funny, and like she thought she was being funny, but you can't be funny when it comes to shit like that because people are suffering and people are trying to embrace who they are. They're trying to embrace the true them, and if them means I'm wearing a skirt and I'm wearing heels, that is fucking okay, and she needs to be okay with it. Just because gay men don't menstruate, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? We've been fucking shot at, we've been put down for so long. She should know, with the history that she comes from, that she shouldn't put down on other people.
Well, here's my thing on Wendy Williams. The thing is, this bitch has been doing this kind of shit, not only to our community, but to other people, including people of her own community, for years. She lives on the fact that it's all about shock and the shit that comes out of her mouth. And then she expects that no one's going to hold her accountable for it because she's Wendy Williams and people know that she says crazy shit. So every time that something goes awry and something that she says, which has been countless times, she comes on a little video and starts crying and saying, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant, and da-da-da-da-da. Fuck you. Fuck you, your apology not accepted, because this is not the first time that you've done it. Not only to the LGBT community, but to other communities as well. And this is something that she does. This is what the premise of her whole fucking show is all about. It's talking shit and shock value. She's no different than fucking Rush Limbaugh, right? Because that's what she does. That's the whole premise of her show. It's to say shit, to cause shock and craziness and talk about celebrities and artists, but in the end, she keeps repeating this kind of shit, and then she goes behind the camera, cries a little, and expect people to forgive her. And sorry, done.
I also want to address the fact that, I'm sorry, I know you wanted to say something.
No.
In the audience, there is a guy or somebody who stands up and says, well, I'm not that gay. And that pissed me off, too. Like, how fucking dare you stand, like, we all have internalized homophobia. We all know we do. We have our issues because of the white man, because of heteronormative whatever. We all have our internalized homophobia. But how fucking dare you stand up when somebody is saying something negative about your community and say, well, I'm not that gay? Honey, what the fuck were you thinking?
You know what?
What were you fucking thinking?
They exist everywhere. And so my thing is, at least that's the way I personally feel. This is what she does. And, I'm sorry, but it's like, is it the sheep that cried wolf one too many times? At the end of the day, your apologies just end up losing its value, and it's just now just cheap and unwarranted and unaccepted.
And you have to remember that there's that old saying that everyone knows: fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, or in her instance,
5 million times, shame on me.
Exactly.
And him.
Yeah, and we all talk about all the time on the show. We had a long conversation last week about homosexuality in the people of color community. It's difficult. It's hard. It's worse than the Caucasian community for sure, 100%. And so you have these stigmas that have been embedded into your psyche, right? So try to break that. Don't say shit like that. And then people, like, I'm really stuck on this guy that said that in the audience, because it's like, you literally you put fuel on the fire.
And turned your back on the community.
You that person did 100%. Like, yeah, we've all said that before, but not in a public forum like that, which is still not okay.
Regardless, yeah.
You should be supportive of who. If you want to fucking wear a dress and heels, wear a dress and heels. If you're super feminine, be feminine. Enjoy it. Live your life. Embrace it and be proud about it. Like, everybody has whatever they want to have. Like, and that's how it should be. You should just be able to be you.
And be who you are and not worry about what everybody else thinks. But, you know.
And this motherfucker literally just like was like, oh, well, I'm not that gay. So all of those gays that wear skirts and heels, they're not worth it. They're, you know, I'm not that gay, but so I'm better than them.
Please. But anyway.
I, for one,
I put on a goddamn breastplate once. Come on.
I really didn't know anything about Wendy Williams, but I, for one, did not realize she was in the Twilight Zone.
Lord have mercy.
Put that away. That's
Put
no,
that
no, do not
put that away. No, there's a meme on Facebook that's going around that has like these characters from a TV show, and it says, "I'm gonna tell my kids that this was Wendy Williams," and I just laugh every time I see it. But again, you know, I just want to point out that the important thing to remember is that, you know, although she may try to be sincere in her apology, this is not the first time that she's done it. And again, you know, I have no doubt in my mind, because this is the whole premise of her show, that it will repeat itself. It will happen again, not necessarily against the gay community, but it will happen again. And she will slip up again and do it all over again. But I don't think that these slips are unintentional. I think that they are intentional because they're meant to drive, you know, hysteria, and they're meant to the social media machine that we have that sort of kind of takes something and just blows it up to the proportions of literally instant fame in this at this point. And that's, she knows how to use it. Other people use it too. Donald Trump does that very well. And so I'm not comparing her to Donald, but I'm just saying that, you know, this is not going to be the last time that we're going to hear or see this woman crying on a YouTube video apologizing to somebody that she just fucked over again.
You know, and at the end of the day, thank you for your apology, but like, whatever, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Because like,
I'm not here for it.
Honestly, I don't know if I'm more pissed at her or the person in the audience.
I think you were pissed at both, but I think, you know, the fact that you went to the story and you went and saw the video and then realized that this person in the audience said that, it was just fire. So, do we have time for one more?
No, let's close it out.
All right. So listen, we're going to go ahead and head out and say goodbye. So of course we've got a couple of more things that we're going to bring to you before we wrap up the show. So we're going to start off with Nick, of course, right back at you in your court. What are we doing?
All right, everybody. So it's time. Yes, it is time for Mama Kim's Minute. Am I ready? Do you have a timer?
I does.
All right, here we go. All right,
And I'm back. Go.
All right, number one, Iowa bill would ban teachers from saying that Pete Buttigieg is gay without notifying their parents. What the fuck?
Dumb.
2, South Dakota's planned ban on treatments for transgender youth fails. Great. 3, Virginia is the first southern U.S. state to pass LGBTQ plus anti-discrimination protections. 4, Coca-Cola brought the covers of Switzerland's newspapers for a pro-equality message.
That was a
5,
tongue twister.
I know. Fuck you, Coca-Cola. Anyway. 5, Dwayne Wade's daughter is transgender, and he's the best dad that she could have.
I'm living for their relationship right now.
Wait, I'm confused about the Coca-Cola bought the covers of Switzerland's new. Oh, like bought them so they were gone?
No, like they're promoting. Actually, they're being.
Pro equality.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused why you said "fuck you, Coca-Cola."
Because they've never been pro equality, and
Oh.
they like the Koch brothers like literally fund all of the negative bullshit with Trump.
Are you thinking of no? You're thinking of the
Coca-Cola
Koch
and the Koch brothers are two different
Koch brothers is KOCH.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Oh. I thought the Koch brothers own Coca-Cola.
No.
Maybe you think about the brothers in the bathroom the other day? Those
I'm
two
probably
snorting
wrong.
coke?
I was like,
And
what are you
doing
talking
Oh my
lines.
God, you're right.
Okay. So we're going to give you an opportunity to sort of kind of redeem yourself.
Well,
Go ahead.
there's no way to redeem from that.
Okay.
Like I literally fucked that
I
up.
was so confused.
So maybe read the headline again?
No. We're just gonna move on. Let's just move on.
Okay,
Can we
all
cut
right.
that out of the recording?
All right. So, gay talk term.
Yeah, Gay
Trish?
Talk term, of course, brought to you by
GayRealEstate.com.
It's
Wasn't sure if it changed.
No, not yet.
Drop hairpins. So, dropping hairpins means leave broad hints about one's homosexuality. You must really have wanted him to know. You certainly dropped enough hairpins.
Hello.
There it is.
All right, Christopher.
My turn. Have you guys been doing this while I was gone?
Yeah.
Of course.
I got a burp.
You
Okay,
know,
we'll
the
try
world
not
doesn't
to.
come to an end because Christopher's not here. You know?
I wasn't sure about that.
I'm just saying.
I was not sure. Alrighty. As always, on this day in gay history, brought to you, of
Ooh.
course, by
GayRealEstate.com.
I brought some cursive.
I know that's
You know,
okay.
I've been practicing. All right. So when February 17th, 2011, here in the U.S. of America, Facebook expands relationship language. Facebook adds, quote, in a civil union and, quote, in a domestic partnership to its relationship options.
Which is amazing,
Mhm.
right? And when you think about it, 14 years later, we had marriage equality, and now we
2011, honey, 4 years
have, I
later.
mean, 4 years later.
Math
Sorry,
is
I
hard,
thought it was
though.
2001 time. Never
I'm
mind. Excuse
fucking
me.
terrible. Coke is a huge supporter.
I was so confused while you said "fuck you" to Coke.
So
I
apologize.
don't know what I was.
You have an
thinking. I must
opportunity.
have
We're
heard
on
something
air.
at some point, and I was like, "Oh, the Koch brothers own Coca-Cola, and they're fucking terrible." And now I'm like looking at all this stuff. I'm like, "Oh my god, they're huge supporters," and I'm so fucking blonde right now.
Apologize to Coca-Cola.
I'm sorry, Coca-Cola. Fuck you, Koch brothers.
There you
Apology
go. With a
accepted.
K.
That's right.
With a K-O-C-H.
Oh, Lord have mercy. We are truly back. I love this. All right. Well, listen, guys, if you love the show, make sure that you go rate and review on your favorite podcasting service. God damn it. Sorry. I ended up doing something I didn't want to do. And just give me 1 minute.
Rate and review on your favorite podcast service.
I'm not done.
We
Favorite
almost
device
made it.
or web browser as soon as the episodes are published. You can also support us on Patreon, which allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation, which can be collected monthly, and it can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Chris?
Next week, we're very excited, but unfortunately, I won't be here to welcome Davis Mallory back to the show. I believe this is the third time?
Third time. Yep.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it's his third time. He's got some new music coming out, which we're excited to play on the show. And he's going to join us to talk about his new beats.
That's right.
All right. Well, here we are. So thank you, Chris, for being here.
Oh, thank me! Yay! I only get one thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chris, for actually coming today.
Yay!
We've missed you.
We did.
But don't forget, get your discount for the future method today. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury or STDs. The first of its kind, doctor-developed formula that gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. And now you can use code GayTalk20 for 20% off, valid for one purchase or a subscription per person.
And, of course, being that he's here and he's used it recently,
Can
you
I
can vouch
use
for it.
Can I use the discount code?
Probably,
Anyone can.
yeah.
Oh,
Anyone can.
thanks, Dr. G.
So
Everybody say thank you to Dr. G.
that's the great
Thanks,
Dr.
Dr. G.
All right, can we please, now that it's all cleaned up, put a rubber on it?
Yeah, because we've been putting dental dams on it or something on it.
Oh,
we couldn't make up our minds.
Me, you nasty
And so,
bitches.
yes, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, as always, our show is available on our website, gaytalk20.com, under show and episodes. It is also available as a free download on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher Radio.
Nick announces you can find us on social media, Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0, Twitter, at GayTalk20. You can email us at gaytalk2.0@gmail.com. Tom, take it away.
And before I do take it away, Christopher, how many more weeks do we have before we can expect you on an ongoing basis again?
Ooh, spring break. Oh, on an ongoing basis.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's like May.
Oh, that's okay. All right.
That's-
Well, at least
yeah,
we
we're
know.
excited about
At least
that.
we know. So we have all of March and April. Oh my God, this is gonna be glorious.
But I really wanted to come on because I felt bad. Like I feel like we didn't really give our listeners a heads up that there's going to be a little cast change kind of for this semester. No?
Yeah, we did.
Did
we talked
we?
about it.
Sort of,
I
not
mean,
really.
Yeah, but basically, I love you guys and I love these guys, and I've just been gone because one of my classes runs too late.
Yeah.
So I'm not leaving. I'm still part of the Gay Talk family. I still love coming here talking.
You're still a host.
I'm still
Uh-huh.
I'm still a host. I'm still very experienced in the
Hashtag an original host.
That's right. Experienced in the language of cursive, and I promise to bring you cursive as often as I can. And it was so nice to be back.
Yeah.
And he's still super hairy, so
This is
Yeah.
true.
And so he's not going anywhere. So he'll be back. It's just a matter of we are not going to make him choose between school and show. He has to concentrate on school, and that's important. But
and I'm not recording at 8 p.m. So.
Lord have
You know.
mercy. All right, well, listen, guys, if you need to reach out to us, make sure that you just head on over to our website. Click on the Contact Us tab, which is located at the top of your web browser. Our web browser. You can leave comments, suggest topics, submit a question for the cast, or submit a question for an individual host. I would say that at this point, maybe Elsie, because, he won't be here until like May. And
Well, send me an email. I want to hear from you guys. I miss y'all.
You can also call us and leave us a question via voice message. We can answer those for you on the show. That phone number is 334-GayTalk, cursive. Or you can use those numbers. It's 334-429-8255. Do not forget that we do stream live every Monday at 6:30, 6 p.m., 6:15, at some point. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Ladies and gents, that is our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.